Communist goth Antifa idiots.
They're communist goths. Communist goths. Communist goth Antifa idiots. They're communist goths. Love communist goths. Communist goths. They're communist goth Antifa idiots. Burning down. Hot Topic burning down. Starbucks burning down. Buildings named after MLK. You fucking Antifa idiots. Burning down. Burning down.
I made this satirical song in this video because I was recently rather amused to discover there are now communist goths.
Are you kidding me? Really?
I'm just saying it's not a very common thing, but out of the thousands on my feed, I've seen a few, okay?
Sorry. I have to get it out.
Yeah, it exists. Unlike hardcore punk, for example, which was very consciously a working class thing, at least in the New York hardcore scene that I was into in the 80s, in the late 80s, and in the 90s, goth is arguably the most bourgeois of the genres, and so it's rather amusing to see goths that subscribe to a political system that is explicit about overthrowing and eradicating the bourgeoisie. Its clothes are the most elaborate and expensive, I would say, though some goth clothing is explicitly totalitarian, whether leaning towards the SS look or the Soviet look, but that's always ironic for the most part, or fetishistic, not political. It's a fashion choice. Goth is also aristocratic, elitist, decadent, something that exists within the cushion of expendable income. It is the most art school of the genres. In my albeit limited personal experience, goths tend to hold down the higher paying jobs and spend more money than people in, say, the rave scene, the punk scene, the hardcore punk scene, all of which I've been in to some degree, with the goths in the kink scene tending to have the most expendable income, even more than other goths. So I think it's safe for me to say that a communist goth is an oxymoron, with an emphasis on the moron part. I say this not as an outsider or a mere dabbler. When I was a much younger lad in the 1990s, fresh out of high school, I was into heavier, hard, fast music, classical punk, hardcore punk especially, and also some industrial and other stuff. Though I loved, and I still love, bands like Bauhaus, Alien Sex Fiend, and The Damned, for the most part I never did like goth music, I just think most of it sucks. But I was drafted into the goth scene. You see, some friends and I were out at a club one night and we ran into someone from high school, and that person was a manager of a goth punk industrial new wave night. We got to talking and it turned out that her DJ could handle the goth music, but she needed someone who could spin the industrial and punk stuff, and that's how I became a DJ. All through most of the 1990s, I DJ'd industrial music at various goth and industrial clubs. For a while, I dated a professional dominatrix in New York City. We would go to BDSM and goth clubs. I was even drafted into a goth band. You see, I had a friend who had this band, and his bass player would often back out before live shows, so I would end up filling in. Then I moved to Pennsylvania, was into the goth scene there, the goth clubs there in Pittsburgh, then there was the goth industrial clubs in Austin, Texas in recent years, and so on. Just as a point of interest, the first goth club that I DJ'd at, and the one that I DJ'd the longest at, was actually promoted as a gay, straight, bisexual, goth industrial new wave punk club. Yes, all that. And it did rather well for a good number of years there in New York. Anyway, in all my experience, I've never known a communist goth or a goth Antifa until very recently. It's so stupid to me, and it's really fucking funny. Tabitha and I used to post a lot more photos on social media of ourselves dressed up, for the clubs, modeling, artful stuff, kinky stuff, and so on. In the last couple of years, however, I've been too busy with socio-political type stuff or that kind of stuff, but I still get goths on my feed. Recently, I noticed a few communist goths on my social media feeds, and I tried to pick their brains, and I asked them why they're communist when they're really bourgeoisie, very bourgeoisie. Almost none of them ever responded, but a couple of them did. This one here seems to be into goth and communism and anarchy and the occult, specifically Thelema. See the 7-pointed glyph there with the word Babylon and the number 7s? That's a Thelemic symbol for the goddess Babylon. Thelema is elitist, bourgeois, extremely libertarian, and individualistic, and about as opposite of communism as one could possibly imagine, as in this book here, Liber 77, or Liber Oz. It's a very important book in Thelema which says, "Every man and every woman is a star. And if you read into Thelemic literature, this is saying that every person is an individual with their own indomitable will, their own individual path in life that no one has a right to squash. Well, here, let's read on. Man has the right to live by his own law, to live in the way that he wills to do, to work as he will. Okay, you don't get that in communism. To play as he will, to rest as he will, to die, when, and how he will. Man has the right to eat what he will, and drink what he will, and so on and so forth, and it's very libertarian. Hey, if you want to be gay, if you want to be this, be that, whatever. And just to drive home how extremely libertarian and individualistic it is, and how much it's for individual liberty as opposed to collectivism, you can see here it says, man has the right to kill those who would thwart these rights. So there you go. My point here is that it's the opposite of communism. And you know, folks, I've known a lot of Thelemites over the years. I've been to their lodges and some of their rituals, and a good portion of them are goth. But communist? No, that's an oxymoron. Emphasis, again, on moron. It's very silly. So I asked her to do a video chat for YouTube, but she declined. I had a hilarious conversation with this guy, this communist goth guy, but sorry, I lost that conversation. It was funny, trust me. Then there's this guy who 4chan apparently had a field day with. You can see here he tweeted or he posted, "My style is one I came up with, Gothic Communist." And apparently 4chan added, "Follow my backup at emotional_Tokyo_V2, dank memes, cringe meme, memes, nice meme, laughing my ass off, LOL keck, laughing my fucking ass off, immortal memes, filthy Frank 4chan, AYYLMAO, weeaboo, don't know what that is, anime, vaporwave, what the fuck, FNAF, whatever that is, jet fuel can't melt steel beams, John Cena, Papa Franku, edgy, MLG, BEP, furry, triggered girl." And there's this one, a goth anarcho-communist Antifa. You can pause the video if you want to read the conversation. You can use that pause function, but I'm just gonna breeze right through it. It's a little bit tedious, although it's laughably naive. If you want a good laugh, you can go ahead and pause and read it. One of my favorite comments is the expected cliche, property is theft. Anyway, the conversation's a bit long, so let's just move on. I'll give you just enough time to pause and read if you want to. This one left some passive-aggressive responses to my comments in some group or some debate, some thread. Seeing her communist goth profile pic, I asked her, "Are you actually into communism or is that a joke?" She responded, "No joke." I responded, "Okay, I'm interested in your view. I have a YouTube channel and I would love to interview you via video chat about this. Would you be interested?" She answered, I don't think I'm intelligent enough, to be honest. I don't know words well.
Words.
I don't know words well. I don't know words well.
Words.
And I have a difficult time explaining myself. It doesn't mean I'm stupid or don't know what I'm talking about. Methinks thou doth protest too much. I just have a difficult time with certain things. I found that comment to be oddly articulate, actually, except for the part where she writes, I don't know words well, which I find to be, well, rather comical. She continued, I'd embarrass myself probably, but thank you for the offer. Still trying to capture this rare creature on video, I replied, I understand, but you have nothing to worry about. I would not be asking you questions that require any knowledge, just your own view/motivation. Yeah, I really just want to crack that nut and see what's going on inside these brains, so, you know.
The prime word there is nut.
Since that approach wasn't working, I tried provocation, but not with any mere direct attack, you see. I tried a more baroque and artful approach. D'art duel, adopt an absurd pose, feign an error, draw in the opponent and ensnare them. It is in this esprit that I wrote, you understand that supporting the Nazi regime was wrong, right? You'll see what I'm doing in a moment here. Our silly little oxymoron replied, communism isn't Nazism, and I don't support them. I responded, yes, communism is not Nazism. I'm asking if you understand that Nazism was wrong. The idea was to lead her to say that Nazism was horrible, and then to show her that what made Nazism horrible, totalitarianism, genocide, collectivism, also made communism horrible. She did not respond, however. I continued, Nazism was wrong because it targeted marginalized groups and killed them by the millions. She responds, I understand that, yes, obviously it was wrong, but if you're going to say what I think you're going to, I'm stopping. I've grown a lot of anger towards trying to explain things because I'm bad with words, so people think of me as dumb or not informed enough and have no idea what I'm talking about. Maybe you don't have any idea what you're talking about.
Exactly. If you think communism and goth go together, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, honey, no!
She continues, I'm not trying to be rude or seem like I'm playing dumb. I believe in things, but it's difficult for me to word. So, still trying to draw her in, still trying to just sort of play that chess move and get her to agree to an interview, because I really want to get one of these people on video. It's funny stuff. I continue, you are articulate. I'm not sure why you do not have the confidence in your ability to articulate because you are doing fine. So, if you know that targeting marginalized groups and killing them is wrong, you should be against communism, because it has killed many times more than Nazism. Speaking of communism, Antifa also attacks members of marginalized groups, including politically moderate people who are LGBTQI, immigrants, elderly, adolescents, differently abled, and sometimes not even human. They have attacked dogs and at least one horse. Here is proof from unedited live streams, and then I posted a couple of my videos which prove what I'm saying here. She responds, "K, this is where I go full stop. I've heard this so many times before. You should talk to my boyfriend about this. You won't get much out of me. He knows more than I do. He can actually explain things."
Wow. Oh my god, I want to hit her. I can't think without my boyfriend's thinking because his thinker is better than my womanly thinker.
Right.
Actually, she also calls herself feminist, which would be so fucking hilarious.
My boyfriend can explain why I'm feminist.
I can't think well, but he can. He tells me everything to think. Oh, sweetheart, no.
I'm for socialism first because it's before communism, but the main goal is communism. Capitalism doesn't work, she says over the computer while wearing our bourgeoisie clothes.
You're an idiot.
That's all I'm going to say. Too many times I've heard the death toll, a classic. Well, I guess if you don't care, you're just a despicable human being. So I wrote, it is obvious that you are supporting something of which you know nothing about. You are supporting something that has led to the murder of good people, something that has murdered many, many more people than Nazism. This makes you far worse than a Nazi. Learn what communist revolutions have resulted in, drop communism, and become a good person.
Use your own brain, not your boyfriend's. That's just sad.
She responds, you're a fucking idiot. Trying to embarrass me and have your stupid ass friends team up against me? I don't know what she means by that. I guess maybe she was teamed up upon somewhere and she thought it was my friends. I don't know. Fuck you. You're the bad person here and not me. You're so clueless that it literally hurts. So then I wrote, I have not done anything to encourage or even suggest anyone to do anything to you. It was you who chose to leave an ignorant comment on one of my posts. Besides, free speech will prevail, despite communists' attempts to silence civil rights. Also, it is incredibly funny that you, who have all but flat out admitted to total ignorance of communism and even demonstrated with your own words a failure to grasp even the most rudimentary facts of socialism and communism, are trying to say that I am clueless? You are the Dunning-Kruger effect on display. And then you can see, this person isn't available right now, meaning she blocked me. Communists and Antifa goths. Makes no sense. Because they are the bourgeoisie that the communist revolution is supposed to kill. If you are a goth and a communist or an Antifa, and you want to appear in a future video, please get a hold of me using the contact information in the description below because, well, just because, you know, I'll give you my platform. Yes, they really do exist. I mean, communist cops. The bourgeoisie against the bourgeoisie. Workers against work. Makes sense if you don't think about it. You know, to say that you are a communist goth is basically to say you are a bourgeoisie person against the bourgeoisie. It's really fucking stupid. It's like saying workers against work. Wait a minute, they've already done that. Look here. It's rather silly. Silly it is. And that's why I made this video and this song. Hold on, wait. There's hope for the goth scene yet, as I will go into in more detail in a future video that I hope to make at least. There are goths, well, in some cases people who are kinda sorta goth, who are most definitely not commies, not regressive leftists, not politically correct idiots. And in some cases they are right-wing or Trump supporters or both. Some of them are real-life friends too. See, there we are. And of course there's Tabitha. She may not be right-wing, but she does actually like a lot of what Trump has done. But anyway, these gentlemen and ladies and this topic indeed is for a future video. We'll just feast our eyes upon them for a moment. And now it's time to go. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please leave us a comment below and be sure to not be a
Communist goths. They're communist goths. Communist goths. Communist goth Antifa idiots. They're communist goths. Love communist goths. Communist goths. They're communist goth Antifa idiots. Burning down. Hot Topic burning down. Starbucks burning down. Buildings named after MLK. You fucking Antifa idiots. Burning down. Burning down.